Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're diving into something that's pretty close to home for all of us. I think hobbies.
Mm.
Specifically, what's hot in the world of American hobbies in 2025?
Okay.
We've got a fascinating podcast script laying out all the top trends. And trust me, this is not just like your grandma's knitting circle anymore.
Yeah, it's intriguing how hobbies can be a bit like a cultural barometer. They reflect not just what we do for fun, but also kind of what we value as a society.
Okay, so it's not just about killing time. There's like a deeper meaning here.
Yeah,
I'm in. Tell me more.
absolutely. For instance, this script really emphasizes the importance of hobbies for our well-being, thanks stress reduction building skills, and
Yeah.
even fostering social connections. It's like this whole idea of work-life balance has kind of morphed into something bigger, more about finding genuine fulfillment outside of the 9 to 5 grind.
That makes a lot of sense. We're all feeling the pressure to hustle, but maybe hobbies are the antidote,
Mm-hmm.
like a way to reclaim some time for ourselves and do something we actually enjoy.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is how hobbies can actually trigger those flow states that psychologists talk about. You know, that feeling of being totally absorbed in something where time just melts away. It's like mindfulness with the side of pure fun.
Mhm. Okay, I'm sold on the why. Now bring on the hobbies. What are people actually getting into these days?
Well, first up is a trend that has really taken off: outdoor adventures. We're talking hiking, camping, RV travel, the whole shebang. It's like everyone suddenly wants to be Bear Grylls, but maybe with slightly better Wi-Fi.
Hold on, Bear Grylls with Wi-Fi. Doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of roughing it?
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
But that's the interesting part. The script actually points out how technology is making these outdoor experiences more accessible. We've got GPS apps to keep us from getting lost, solar-powered gadgets to keep us connected, and gear that makes even roughing it a little less, well, rough.
So it's like we're craving that escape into nature, but we're not quite ready to give up our creature comforts.
Mm,
Maybe it's about finding like a balance, the best of both worlds.
precisely. It's a bit of a paradox, but hey, who wouldn't want to Instagram that stunning mountain vista while still being able to call for help if they need it?
Fair enough. Speaking of trends, what about fitness? I feel like that's always a big one.
Oh, absolutely. And in 2025, it's gone way beyond just hitting the gym. The script highlights everything from yoga studios to extreme sports. It seems like Americans are pushing their physical limits like never before. And you know what's interesting? It's not just about achieving that like perfect body anymore.
Okay, so it's not all about vanity. What's driving this fitness frenzy then?
I think it's part of a larger shift towards a more holistic view of wellness. People are recognizing that fitness isn't just about how they look, it's about how they feel, mentally, emotionally, the whole package. And technology is playing a huge role here too.
Yeah, I've seen those ads for like home workout apps and virtual trainers.
Yeah.
It's like having a personal fitness guru like at your fingertips.
Exactly. And it makes fitness so much more accessible, especially for people with busy schedules or those who maybe don't feel comfortable in a traditional gym setting. Plus, there's this whole social media component now with people sharing their workouts and motivating each other online.
So it's like fitness meets community, all fueled by technology. Pretty
Yeah.
cool, actually.
Mhm.
Okay, so we've got people scaling mountains, sweating it out in their living rooms. What else is grabbing their attention?
Well, prepare to enter the virtual world because gaming is absolutely huge in 2025. And we're not just talking about your classic consoles and PC games. The script dives into virtual reality, augmented reality, and even mentions these AI-powered tools that let you, the player, design game levels or compose the music.
Wait, hold up. AI writing music for games. That sounds
Yes.
insanely advanced.
It is. And it speaks to how gaming has evolved from this niche hobby to a major cultural force. It's influencing everything from entertainment to social interaction, even to career paths. We're talking about professional gamers earning six-figure salaries and competing in massive esports tournaments.
Wow, so it's not just kids in their basements anymore. Gaming has gone legit.
Totally. And it's interesting to see how it taps into our need for creativity, competition, and connection all within this digital landscape.
Okay, I'm starting to see a pattern here. First, we had people escaping to nature, then pushing their physical boundaries, now diving headfirst into the digital world. Is there any balance left?
Actually, that brings us to our next trend, which is all about getting back to basics and creating something tangible with your own two hands. The script calls it the rise of the DIY artisan, and it encompasses everything from gardening and crafting to woodworking and home improvement.
Ah, so it's the antidote to all that screen time. Makes sense. But what's driving this sudden urge to get crafty?
Well, the script connects it to a few things. First, there's the rise of remote work, which means people are spending more time at home and want to create spaces that are both functional and aesthetically pleasing. Then there's this growing trend of slow living, a rejection of mass production and a desire for things with a personal touch.
So it's about reclaiming control, expressing yourself, and maybe even impressing your friends with your newfound DIY skills. I like it.
Exactly. Plus, there's something deeply satisfying about creating something from scratch, seeing a project through from start to finish.
Okay, so we've got adventure seekers, fitness fanatics, tech wizards, and DIY masters. Is there anyone left who actually wants to, interact with other human beings?
Don't worry, social butterflies are still alive and well in 2025. And that brings us to our final trend, social hobbies. We're talking about everything from book clubs and podcasting to those viral TikTok dance crazes that seem to take over the internet every week.
So it's about finding your tribe, whether it's in person or online. But isn't there a risk of getting stuck in an echo chamber, especially in the online world?
That's a great point, and one the script touches on. While technology makes it easier than ever to connect with like-minded people, there's also the potential for those connections to become very narrow and self-reinforcing.
So how do we navigate that? How do we reap the benefits of online communities without losing sight of the bigger picture?
Well, that's a question we'll delve into a bit deeper in the next part of our deep dive. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've laid out these fascinating hobby trends, but now comes the really exciting part, figuring out what they mean for you.
All right, I'm all ears. We've covered a lot of ground from escaping into nature to conquering virtual worlds. But how do we, connect these trends to our own lives?
Well, think of hobbies as a form of self-discovery. It's like each trend we discussed is a different path you could take to explore your passions, build skills, or even just shake things up a bit.
So instead of just randomly picking something, we should be looking for hobbies that align with our deeper needs and desires.
Exactly. Let's take that surge in outdoor adventures, for example. It's not just about getting some fresh air. It might signal a deeper craving for stress reduction or a desire to reconnect with nature in our increasingly tech-driven world.
That's a good point. If you're feeling burnt out from the daily grind, maybe scaling a mountain or at least a sizable hill is just what the doctor ordered.
Precisely. And even if you're not the rugged outdoorsy type, there are ways to tap into this trend. A walk in the park gardening, even just sitting outside and soaking up some sun. These can all have a surprisingly positive impact on your well-being.
Okay, so we've addressed our inner nature lover.
Yeah.
But what about those of us who are more inclined towards pixels than pine trees? All that talk about advanced gaming tech was pretty mind-blowing.
It is. And it challenges us to think about technology not just as a distraction, but as a tool for creativity, problem solving, and even social connection. Those AI-powered game design tools, for example, that's incredible. Imagine being able to create your own virtual worlds, characters, storylines. The possibilities are endless.
I'm not going to lie, that does sound pretty tempting.
Yeah.
But is there a danger of going too deep down the digital rabbit hole? I mean, where's the line between healthy engagement and full-blown tech addiction?
That's a question worth pondering for sure. And it's not just about gaming. We're seeing this blurring of lines between the real and virtual in so many aspects of our lives.
Yeah, like those fitness apps we were talking about. On one hand, they make working out more accessible and convenient. But on the other hand, are we becoming too reliant on technology, even for something as basic as moving our bodies?
It's a valid concern. The key is to be mindful of your relationship with technology and make sure it's enhancing your life, not controlling it.
So it's all about finding that balance,
Yeah.
right? Using tech as a tool, not letting it become a crutch.
Ugh.
Okay, so we've explored nature, we've ventured into the digital realm. What about the DIY trend? Is everyone suddenly becoming a master carpenter?
Not necessarily, but I think there's something very appealing about this idea of creating something tangible with your own hands, especially in a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable. There's a certain comfort in having something concrete to show for your efforts.
It's like taking back control, right? Instead of just consuming, you're producing.
Yeah.
You're putting your personal stamp on the world one DIY project at a time.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be about grand ambitions. Even small acts of creation, baking bread, knitting a scarf, building a birdhouse, can tap into this need for self-expression and mastery.
Plus, you get to brag to all your friends about your awesome homemade creations.
Of course. But beyond the bragging rights, there's a real sense of accomplishment that comes from honing a skill and seeing a project through to completion.
All right, so we've got nature tech and DIY covered. But what about those of us who are wired for connection? Where do social hobbies fit into all of this?
That's a crucial piece of the puzzle. The script highlights how important it is to find your tribe, whether it's through book clubs, online forums, or even those viral TikTok trends. It's about shared experiences, building relationships, and feeling like you belong.
But didn't we also talk about the potential downsides of online communities? Like getting trapped in echo chambers and losing touch with different perspectives?
That's a very real risk. It's easy to surround ourselves with people who already agree with us, reinforcing our existing beliefs without ever challenging them. And that can be limiting both personally and intellectually.
So how do we strike a balance? How do we reap the benefits of online connection without falling into those echo chamber traps? All right, we're back for the final leg of our journey into the world of American hobbies in 2025. We've explored the trends, we've pondered their deeper meaning, and now it's time to get practical. How can we actually use this knowledge to, like, level up our own lives?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's one thing to talk about trends, but it's another to translate them into action. So let's roll up our sleeves and get down to brass tacks.
Love that. Let's start with the nature thing. I'll admit I'm more of an indoor cat myself, but I can see the appeal of those outdoor adventures. Where do we even begin if we're not exactly, Bear Grylls material?
That's a misconception a lot of people have. They think you need to be some hardcore survivalist to enjoy nature, but it's really not about that at all. Start small. A walk in a local park, a picnic under a tree, even just opening your window and letting in some fresh air. It's about finding those little pockets of nature that already exist in your life and appreciating them.
Okay, I could definitely handle that. Baby steps. But what if you actually want to, venture out into the wilderness? Any tips for a newbie?
Absolutely. First off, don't be afraid to lean on technology. There are amazing apps that can help you find hiking trails, identify plants and animals, even navigate using the stars. It's like having a pocket-sized nature guide and survival expert all rolled into one.
Oh, that's handy. So we can still have our tech fix even while we're out communing with Mother Nature. All right, what about the fitness craze? I know exercise is important, but finding the motivation to actually do it is another story.
I hear you. It's the age-old struggle. But I think one of the takeaways from this script is that fitness doesn't have to be a chore. It's about finding activities that you genuinely enjoy that feel more like play than work. Maybe it's dancing, rock climbing, swimming, or even just going for a bike ride with friends.
So it's about reframing our relationship with exercise. Instead of seeing it as something we have to do, it's something we get to do. That actually makes a big difference.
It does. And don't underestimate the power of community. Having a workout buddy, joining a fitness class, or even just following inspiring fitness accounts on social media can provide that extra boost of motivation and accountability. It's like you're not just working out for yourself, you're part of something bigger.
Okay, on to the tech stuff. We talked about gaming, AI creativity tools, all those cool digital advancements. But how do we make sure we're using technology in a healthy way?
That's the key question. It's easy to get sucked into the digital world and lose track of time. So be intentional about your screen time, set limits for yourself, create tech-free zones in your home, and make sure you're engaging with content that truly interests you, not just passively scrolling.
Yeah, that mindless scrolling can be a real time suck. It's like digital junk food. But
Mhm.
what about the creative side of tech? Those AI tools sound like they could be really empowering.
Absolutely. Imagine being able to compose music, write poetry, or design a video game, even if you don't have any formal training. These tools are making creativity more accessible than ever before, which is incredibly exciting.
So instead of just consuming content, we can become creators ourselves. That's a game changer. All right, what about the DIY trend? I'm not exactly a handyman, but I love the idea of creating something beautiful and functional with my own two hands. Where do we start if we're not exactly Bob the Builder?
One of the most important skills you can develop is the willingness to learn and experiment. Don't be afraid to start small. Pick a project that sparks your interest, find a tutorial online, and just go for it. It's okay if it's not perfect. The process is just as important as the product.
I love that, embracing imperfection. So it's not about being a pro, it's about trying new things, enjoying the journey. Okay, last but not least, social hobbies. We talked about the importance of community and connection, but also about the potential pitfalls of online echo chambers. How do we navigate that tricky terrain?
It's all about being a conscious and discerning consumer of information. Seek out diverse perspectives, challenge your own assumptions, and be willing to engage in respectful dialogue, even with people who hold different views than your own.
So it's about expanding our horizons, both online and offline, joining clubs, volunteering, having meaningful conversations. It's all part of the equation. Wow, this deep dive has really given me a lot to think about.
Me too. It's amazing how something as seemingly simple as hobbies can reveal so much about ourselves and our society.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up, what's the one key takeaway you hope listeners will walk away with?
That hobbies are more than just a way to pass the time. They're an opportunity for self-discovery, growth, connection, and pure enjoyment. So explore your options, try new things, and most importantly, have fun.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the future of hobbies.
It's been a pleasure.